Should we make it known that it's been a hot minute since we've done one?
When we fell off the face of the podcasting earth.
Yes.
And we've now resurfaced and decided that we should probably record another podcast.
Wait, this is you starting?
I don't know. I'm hoping she's recording because I feel like we kind of have something started here. And then we just make her edit it and sound like it was all meant to be.
Of course.
Yes.
That's what we do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's been a bit.
Just a bit, yes. Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe like 4 to 5 months.
I can't even quantify it, but yes. So we're kind of new to 2024, back to podcasting.
We are. It's been a busy first quarter.
That I feel like is an understatement.
And
yes.
while we have missed doing this,
yes,
other things have kind of taken precedent. So we apologize to our loyal listeners and those that have sent us angry text messages and
or who we've seen at events.
Yes.
And keep asking if we're
Yes.
ever coming back. Well, we're back.
We're back.
We're here.
Better than ever.
Sell it, Renee. Sell it.
Look at us go.
Yeah.
So, since we're in April of 2024,
Let's look back at 2023.
I think that's important.
I do too. There's been a lot of changes, a lot of things, great things that happened in 2023 that I think are worth noting.
Agreed. And, you know, every year we as organizations highlight things that happened at our annual meeting. Our annual meeting was
In March, so that was just last month from where we're recording now.
correct.
There's my excuse. That's my tie to why we're just not doing this.
So it seems like a good time to reflect back on 2023 and talk about some things that we see coming in 2024.
Or maybe we already know that are happening in 2024 because
Nothing
we're
is for
into it.
sure.
This excellent point.
You know,
Excellent point.
there's a lot of unknown variables on any given day.
That is so true.
I'm
So
very
true.
wise in 2024. I got smarter.
We're so proud of you.
Yeah, something really changed in that first quarter. Anyway, we digress.
We digress, yes. So our annual meeting, as you mentioned, was held in March. And it's a meeting of our membership. And so it is done jointly with the Fostoria Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau and Fostoria Economic Development. So we all have an opportunity to kind of speak and share those updates. This year looked a little bit different, kind of how we rolled it out, because we had some organizational staffing changes as we rolled into 2024. So I kind of got to kick off the speech portion of the meetings for organizational highlights because I served half of 2023 as the chamber director that until August, and then I finished out the year as the project administrator for Fostoria Economic Development. So part of that was just really discussing the organizational changes and kind of what we've seen. And we always have a meeting theme, and this year the theme was a strong partnership for progress.
Yes.
But I think it's interesting because when we roll into annual meetings, it's all about the highlights and, you know, all these accomplishments. But I think this year we kind of addressed some of the challenges organizationally that we faced historically. And how those challenges kind of shaped our organizations into where we are today, which then led to some of those organizational changes. I served as the chamber director back in the early 2000s and was in that role for about 3.5 years. Took some time off, came back in 2016 and served in that role again. And so I've seen a lot of different transitions of the organization, and there's been a lot of challenges in the organization.
When you say organization, you're talking...
I'm talking chamber. I'm sorry. Yes. So there was a lot of challenges with the chamber, really with stability financially, and without that strong partnership and support from Fostoria Economic Development, I don't think the chamber would exist today or nearly even be where it is. So we highlighted that, but then because of that partnership and that reliance, I think it really started the sharing of resources and joint management agreements and joint strategic plans, which really helped all the organizations, Chamber, Economic Development, Visitors Bureau, because we were all working together, all sharing resources, and we were able to accomplish so much more. But that really came from leadership stepping out of the box and kind of operating out of that normal mode of operation. And I cited, I think when they hired you as the president of Fostoria Economic Development, there was a real shift in the organization. Because historically, everybody, when you look to fill a role, you're looking for someone that kind of checks all those boxes. I have professional economic development experience in that traditional manner. I don't want to overstep, but you really didn't check those boxes as far as traditional economic development.
I did not, and I distinctly remember saying in my interview for the role that if they were looking for someone to do traditional economic development, I was not their person.
But they saw your potential and the drive and how you had proven yourself, because you were currently the grants writer, and they hired you. And I think that is why Fostoria Economic Development is the organization it is today and is able to accomplish so much, because the leadership was willing to look outside of the norm.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate those sentiments, but I have to say that the Fostoria Economic Development Executive Board has played a critical role in all of that. They are also outside the box thinkers.
They absolutely
are. And they are incredibly engaged. And I appreciate that as an employee. And then I think we would be remiss if we did not talk about membership as a whole, whether it be in FEDC or within the chamber. At the end of the day, we would not have jobs. We would not
Absolutely.
be able to do what we do without our members.
And there has been tremendous ongoing support and commitment
Yes.
from both memberships. So many members have been members for the length of their business entirety. And I think that speaks volumes of the support that we receive.
I agree. And so our annual meeting every year, yes, it is to highlight successes from the previous year, but it's also a way for us to acknowledge our members and show our appreciation to them. Because, and I just can't emphasize this enough, we would not have jobs if it weren't for them.
Well, we have leadership, so we have a board of directors that comes from our membership, but we work for our members.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So as we look back on 2023, to your point, you took a big transition.
Yes.
Why don't you tell our listeners about that transition?
Sure. So I transitioned into the project administrator role for Fostoria Economic Development Corporation. And we get a lot of, well, what is it exactly that you do? Well,
what is it that you do?
I don't, it varies day to day, which is what I would tell you about the chamber role. Really, my role was created to help build capacity in the organization. FEDC is involved in a lot. And for that organization to continue to serve the membership and serve the community as needed, there needed to be another person involved. So I threw my hat in the ring. And I really, it goes across the board of working on, leads from the state as far as sites that they're seeking to large projects. We did help facilitate a Safe Routes to School grant in partnership with the city and the school. We are kind of looking into housing, which ties into workforce. We have a lot of workforce needs, and for that, we need housing for workers to come into our community. So we are exploring that. Really, it's whatever is needed. Wherever we find opportunities, wherever there are challenges that we can tackle as opportunities, that's where I'm jumping in, and so is the rest of our team. So with my move from the chamber position to FEDC, that left a great opportunity to bring in a new, fresh perspective to the chamber, which she has been on the podcast. So Jocelyn Reinhardt-Scaife came on. But since the first of the year, she has actually now taken over the Visitors Bureau as well. So she's handling tourism and the farmers market and all of the community art. So she's really taking that on and making that her own with some new, fresh eyes. And then Michelle Cochran, who was our Community Development and Tourism Director, has moved out of that position and is also working with FEDC as a grants writer.
Correct.
And so that kind of came into play because some other duties or responsibilities of FEDC expanded as well, which I'll toss that back to you to talk about.
Well, we just continue to grow as an organization. To your point, there are a lot of opportunities out there. And about 12 years ago, when I started in Fostoria, I started as the grants writer on a part-time basis. And over the last decade plus, we have continued to do a lot of the grants writing. And as the organization grows, we have just maintained that service. Well, to your point, from a capacity standpoint, I could not continue to do that in light of everything else. So Michelle, who had expressed interest, was brought on in that role. It is a part-time role, but to again help offset some of the ongoing work. I don't think the average person understands sometimes the amount of work and follow through that is associated with some of the grants that are out there. So yes, Michelle started in that new role as of January 1st, and so far so good. I think everybody, they are settling into their new roles. You transitioned in August. Jocelyn came in August. There were some additional transitions with Michelle and so forth after the first of the year, so it's kind of been, about 6 months there of
adjusting
to their new roles. Yes.
And I do think we're there. I think we're starting to hit our stride. There are never really slow points in the work we do. So everybody had to hit the ground running, and so I think we're fine. I think we're there. I think things are going pretty well.
And looking at 2023, it was a great year for the community.
It truly was.
There was over $100 million in capital investment in 2023 through those active industrial projects. 1,600 jobs were retained. About 140 new jobs were created. We saw investments from everyone from Ohio Logistics to Charter Steel, Callie's, Manel, the list goes on and on. And so we certainly appreciate the local companies' continued investments in the community and in their Fostoria facilities. I like to say, some people, I just got this question from somebody a week or so ago, well, the job creation numbers seem to be down.
Yeah.
They are, but that's not a bad thing. At the end of the day, we do not have enough people to fill the open positions. And this is not a Fostoria issue. This is not even a regional issue. It's not even an Ohio issue. This is a nationwide issue. And so more and more companies, their capital investment is going up because they have to invest in automation and things of that nature. So I think that's a trend you're going to continue to see. New jobs created are going to be a little lower than people are used to seeing, but it's a necessity.
It is a necessity, but we are still seeing new job creation, and there is, like you said, nothing is set in stone, but it does appear as though there's still going to continue to be fairly decent job creation through 2024 and ongoing capital investment.
Yes. Do you have anything to add to the 2023 recap?
Again, we still saw, I guess I'll speak to a small business perspective, because while I'm no longer with the chamber, I still work with entrepreneurs and help with small business in partnership with Jocelyn in the chamber. But we wrapped our third year of launch Fostoria, our business competition. So that's been really exciting to see, because we now have our 3 different winners from our 3 different years. And they all have open storefronts in the community. They have open businesses, and they're doing quite well. And one of the things that I love most about the business competition is our finals, when we invite the public in, and the public actually votes with their own money to invest in an entrepreneur. And our community's raised over $30,000 that's directly been invested into local entrepreneurs. So I just think that's really neat. Of course, that's a tie-in to Co-Starters, which we continue to operate. We're going to do something a little bit different in 2024. We have run our business competition annually. And so what we're going to do, because we've kind of seen a lot of spaces in the community as far as open spaces fill. We've served 40 entrepreneurs through Co-Starters, and what we're hearing a lot from them is, we kind of wish we had a Co-Starters 2.0. They're looking for some more resources, some more content that can help their business. So We are going to move launch to an every other year. And then on the off year, which would be 2024, we're going to host a small business summit.
I love that.
More to be determined, but we're putting together some really diverse content that directly speaks to what we're hearing from our local small business to really meet their needs and offer them some resources. Of course, it's open to people that are in the startup phase and looking to start up. That is what we're trying to design the Small Business Summit for, that it will meet the needs of a wide variety of audiences. So what we want to do is set people up for success. So if we can provide them those tools and then again put them in the business competition and support them further, we think it's a win-win. So that's what we're going to try for 2024, and I'm really excited about what's coming there.
Good. And so tying industrial, small business, we would be remiss if we didn't mention workforce.
Yes.
Which is where the Learning Center comes in. The Learning Center had a great year in 2023. We actually saw a 40% increase in enrollment numbers. We served over 2,800 people through the Learning Center.
Which is 1,000 more than the year before.
Yes. And then we went up 44% in our offerings. We offered 65 different certifications and classes at the Learning Center in 2023. So we continue to grow. We continue to become more of a regional resource.
Yes.
And I think it's terrific. And for those that don't know, the Fostoria Learning Center, we kind of operate under 3 pillars: upskill, uplift, and expose. And so we deal with people just entering the workforce, looking to go into a certain market or a certain field. We deal with upskilling existing workers that maybe are at, kind of a starting point in a company and need some training to move up. And then working with our youth and letting them know what's available in their own backyard. So we continue to grow that market. We're now serving in 5 different counties. And I believe we touched 43 different businesses last year. So I think that's very impressive.
I think it is too, and I'm excited to see how it just continues to grow. Once I think people are realizing what the offerings here and the ability to work with partners to customize what they need, I think it really does set Fostoria apart.
It does. It really does. Because at the end of the day, we've really found our niche in customized training and short-term certificates. And so somebody can come in, and I think the longest class that we run is about 6 weeks. So it's worked out very well for us here in Fostoria and in the surrounding counties. So I think we've kind of touched on all the various aspects of 2023. So we've touched on a couple things that we know are happening in 2024.
Yes.
Like the Small Business Summit. But we're also looking at some new opportunities.
We are.
To your point, we openly recognize the need for residential housing. And so we are trying to get creative in how we can dip our toe in that water. So we are talking to various partners, and we will probably know in the next couple of months if that's a go. If Plan A doesn't work,
then we'll look at Plan B and Plan
B.
C.
We're also talking about putting up another speculative building. We have done 3 in the last 8 years, approximately. And we have sold all of them. They have worked out very well.
They have.
So we are talking about doing another building in 2024. Kicking around a 50,000 square foot building. So, again, exciting. A little nerve-wracking.
A little bit. Those are some big projects.
They are. And we continue to see investment and growth with our local businesses. We will have some new business announcements coming. We have existing businesses that are looking at some very sizable expansions in both capital investment and new employees. So I will predict today on April 16th at 2:18 p.m.
Oh my, so specific.
That 2024 will exceed all numbers from 2023.
I think you're right. We never like to really put it out there, but I do
I
think
will.
you're right. There's a lot of positive momentum rolling already in this first quarter, and
Yes.
looking ahead, I think 2024 is setting up to be a very, very economically sizable year for Fostoria.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. And it's wonderful.
It
It's
is wonderful.
for the community. It's wonderful for the businesses, the citizens. Investment. Let's face it. It's what makes the world go round.
It does. It does. And I think we'd be remiss when we kind of talked about all the highlights of 2023, and we talked about, the capital investment of our local industry, but we touched on grants. And rolling through this office, there was $4.7 million in grant dollars secured for this community. And I think that's a number that deserves to be put out there and touted a little bit.
Yeah. We work very closely with the city and other entities. They come to us
They do.
and say, we've got this project and this project. Is there any funding out there that might be able to assist? And we try and help when we can. We absolutely do.
Any other notes on 2023 or moving ahead to 2024?
I don't think so. I'm very pleased with 2023, and I, as always, look forward to the new year. That's not really new anymore. But I am excited to see what 2024 brings.
Yes, I dropped my glasses. I knocked them off my chair.
It's fine.
We're on
We're
video,
just
so
so
I
excited.
can't. I was just throwing my arms around in excitement.
How about you? Any final thoughts?
No, I think, I don't really. I say that, but I do. I think I'm excited that we've kind of changed some roles, brought some new perspective into all of our respective organizations that work together. I think, like we said, everybody was kind of transitioning, and I think we've now finally kind of found our groove, and people are running with it. But I'm energized by the new perspective and the changing of some roles and responsibilities and getting fresh eyes on things. I think I'm excited for 2024 and what that will bring. Well, that wraps our highlights of 2023 and a kickoff to 2024. And we're finally back with another episode of
Shut up and listen
Small Town Stories
with Sarah
and Renee.